Playwright, node minimal setup?
npm id at playwright/test npx playwright install npx playwright test.
Where do Playwright tests live?
Common/tests or o/e2e, you choose. Configure test dir in playwright.config.ts so agents know where to add new tests.
Key playwright.config.ts settings?
Use .base URL, web server, start app, projects, Chromium/Firefox/WebKit, retries/workers, reporter, HTML plus JUnit, trace/video/screenshot policies.
How do I auto-start my app for tests?
Use playwright.config.ts web server, command, npm run dev, URL, http://127.0.0.1:3000, reuse existing server. Process.env.ci.
Run one test or one spec.
npx playwright test tests/foo.spec.ts npx playwright test g test name.
Fastest debugging loop?
Pewdbug equals 1 npx playwright test g name headed or npx playwright test debug, inspector.
Best selector strategy?
Prefer get by role/get by label/get by placeholder for resilient tests. Add data tested only when semantics are missing or ambiguous.
When should I add data tested?
When UI text is unstable, I18N, roles are missing, or multiple similar elements exist. Keep IDs stable and semantic, e.g., save button.
Reuse login across tests?
Create storage state once, global setup, and set test.use, storage state.json, to avoid logging in every test.
Make tests deterministic, data?
Seed data via API/DB fixtures, use unique test IDs per run, and clean up. Avoid depending on existing prod-like data.
Avoid flaky waits?
Use Playwright AutoWait plus expect, locator, to be visible /to have text /to have URL. Avoid page.wait for timeout except as last resort.
Visual regression assertion?
Expect page to have screenshot home.png or expect locator to have screenshot card.png.
How do snapshot baselines update?
Run npx playwright test update snapshots only when change is intended, and review diffs in PR.
Mask dynamic areas and screenshots?
Expect page to have screenshot mask page.locator data tested equals clock to ignore volatile regions.
Compare data regressions?
Fetch JSON page.request or API client and expect data to match snapshot so diffs show exact field changes.
Compare previous versus current UI?
Check out previous commit in a Git worktree, run the same tests, and compare HTML reports and screenshot diffs between runs.
Best artifacts to keep for comparisons?
HTML report, trace.zip, screenshots, and optionally videos. These let you diff behavior without rerunning locally.
Design change detection strategy?
Pick a small set of high-value pages/components, fix viewport/theme, disable animations, and snapshot them regularly.
How to split smoke versus full suite?
Tag tests, e.g., at smoke, at critical, and run npx playwright test grep at smoke in CI gates.
CI essentials?
Install browsers, npx playwright install with deps, set CI equals 1, run npx playwright test, upload playwright report /and test results /artifacts.
Parallel tests without chaos?
Isolate state per test, unique users /data, avoid shared mutable globals, and keep tests idempotent so workers can run safely.
What should an AI agent do before writing a test?
run existing suite, identify stable selectors, confirm the user flow steps, and agree on what must be asserted, URL, text, data.
Prompt template for an agent to add a test?
Add a Playwright test for flow. Use getByRole/label first, add data tested only if needed, assert key outcomes, keep it deterministic, and run it.
Agent safety rule for snapshots?
Never update snapshots unless the user explicitly wants to accept visual changes. Attach diff plus reasoning when proposing updates.
How to handle intentional UI changes?
Update assertions/testeds first, then update screenshots with review. Record the reason, ticket/PR, so future diffs are explainable.
Anki import. What file format does Anki accept?
Plain text, e.g., .txt/.tsv, with fields separated by comma/semicolon/tab/ etc. Make sure it's saved as UTF-8.
Anki import. What does the first field control?
By default, Anki uses the first field to detect duplicates. On import, duplicates can be updated/ignored/added depending on import settings.
Anki import. What are file headers like hashtag separator?
Anki 2.1.54 plus supports top-of-file headers like hashtag separator, tab, hashtag HTML, true, hashtag deck, hashtag note type, hashtag tags column 3 to preset import options.
Anki import. How do I put tags in a column?
Add a tags column and include hashtag tags column 3, or whichever column. In each row, put tags separated by spaces.
What is Playwright?
A browser automation framework, Chromium Firefox/WebKit, with a built-in test runner at Playwright/test for reliable end-to-end tests.
Playwright library versus at Playwright/test?
Use at Playwright/test for the test runner, fixtures, expect API, reporting, retries, and parallelization. Use Playwright library for custom scripting without the runner.
What's a project in Playwright config?
A named browser/device configuration, e.g., Chromium, Firefox, WebKit, mobile, that runs the same tests under different settings.
How do I run only Chromium tests?
npx Playwright test project equals Chromium.
How do I run tests in headed mode?
npx Playwright test headed.
How do I open the HTML report?
npx Playwright show report.
What is a Playwright trace?
A recorded timeline, screenshots, DOM snapshots, network, console, actions, you can inspect to debug failing/flaky tests.
How do I enable traces on failures?
In playwright.config.ts, use trace on first retry or on for always.
How do I view a trace.zip?
npx Playwright show trace path /to/trace.zip.
How do I slow down actions for debugging?
Use pwdebug equals 1, inspector, or launch with slow mo in custom scripts. In tests prefer debug/pudbug equals 1.
What is Playwright auto wait?
Playwright waits for elements to be actionable, attached/visible/stable/enabled, and for navigation where appropriate, reducing manual sleeps.
When is page.wait for timeout acceptable?
Rarely, as a last resort for non-deterministic animations/3 RD party widgets. Prefer expect and waiting on app state.
What is a locator?
A live selector handle that re-resolves automatically and supports auto-wait plus strictness. Prefer locators over element handles.
Why prefer getByRole?
It uses accessibility roles/names, making tests more resilient to DOM refactors and closer to user behavior.
How do I target a button by accessible name?
Page.getByRole, button, name, save.
How do I assert the URL?
Await expect, page, dot to have URL, // dashboard $/.
How do I assert text inside an element?
Await expect, page dot get by test ID, toast, dot to have text, /saved/.
What is strict mode for locators?
Most locator actions expect exactly one match. If multiple elements match, Playwright throws to prevent ambiguous tests.
How do I disambiguate multiple matches?
Use better selectors, role/name, or refine with .filter, hasText, .nth, I, or scope with a parent locator.
How do I group steps in the report?
Await test.step, create customer, async equals.
How do I tag a test?
Add tags in the title like test, login at smoke, async, page equals, and run with grep at smoke.
How do I skip or focus tests?
Test.skip, test.describe.skip, test.only, avoid committing .only.
How do I share code between tests?
Create helper functions, e.g., in tests/helpers/, or page object models for complex screens. Keep them thin and assertion focused.
What is storage state?
A JSON file containing cookies/local storage that can preload authenticated sessions without relogging in each test.
How do I create a storage state file?
Run a one-time login test/script and call await context.storageState, path, storagestate.json.
Where should storagestate.json live?
Usually under the test project, e.g., e2e/.auth/storagestate.json, and referenced in config. Don't commit real user secrets.
How do I do per role logins, admin versus user?
Create separate storage states, admin JSON, user.json, and use test.use, storage state, in different describe blocks/projects.
How do I handle login forms in tests?
Navigate to /login, fill inputs with getByLabel/getByPlaceholder, click submit, then assert redirect plus a visible logged-in UI element.
What if my app uses SSO/2FA?
Prefer storage state created manually once, or authenticate via backend/API, test user, instead of automating brittle multi-factor UI flows.
How do I start multiple servers for E2E?
Use playwright.config.ts web server as an array, command, URL, so Playwright waits for all before tests.
What does reuse existing server do?
It avoids restarting your dev server locally if it's already running. In CI you usually set reuse existing server, false.
What is base URL used for?
It lets you write page.goto/login instead of full URLs, and keeps tests portable between environments.
How do I pass environment variables to tests?
Use process.env in playwright.config.ts and tests. Set vars in shell or CI, e.g., base_URL, username, password.
Where do Playwright outputs go?
Default, Playwright report/HTML, and test results/artifacts like traces/screenshots/videos.
How do I record a video on failure?
In config, use video, retain on failure, or on for always.
How do I take screenshots on failure?
In config, use screenshot only on failure.
How do I emulate a mobile device?
Use devices from Playwright, import devices, and set project.use equals devices, iPhone 13.
How do I block external analytics calls?
Use page.route, */googleanalytics.com/**, route equals route.abort, to keep tests deterministic.
How do I mock an API response?
Page.route, **/API/reports, route equals route.fulfill, JSON, fake data.
How do I seed data via HTTP in a test?
Use the built-in request fixture, const res equals await request.post/API/test/seed data.
How do I verify a download occurred?
Use const download equals await page.wait for event, download, then download.path, or save as.
How do I upload a file?
Await page.set input files, input, type equals file, path/to/file.pdf.
How do I test in a clean DB state?
Create a test-only reset/seed endpoint or database script, run it in test, before each/before all for isolation.
What's a good smoke test set?
Login, navigate key pages, create/update a core entity, and verify a critical report/overview renders, fast, stable, minimal.
How do I reduce flakiness from animations?
Disable animations via CSS injection, page.add style tag, or prefers reduced motion. Avoid asserting pixel-perfect layout unless needed.
How do I make selectors stable in Vue/Laravel apps?
Add semantic roles/labels where possible. Add data tested as a last resort on interactive elements and key containers.
Where is the AMS workspace on disk?
/root/stellanpaket/AMS contains AMS2 Vue, Vue 3, AMS Vue, Vue 2, and AMS Laravel, Laravel backend.
Where is the Connect workspace on disk?
/root/stellanpaket/connect contains Connect 2 Vue, Vue 3, Connect Vue, Vue 2, and Connect Laravel, Laravel backend.
What port does Connect Vue dev server use, per script?
/start_dev_servers.sh starts Connect Vue with yarn serve port 3445.
What port does Connect Laravel dev server use, per script?
/start_dev_servers.sh starts PHP artisan serve port 7677.
Where is AMS Vue 3 Vite port configured?
In /root/stellanpaket/AMS/AMS2 Vue/vite.config.ts under server.port.
Where is Connect Vue 3 Vite port configured?
In /root/stellanpaket/connect/connect2 Vue/vite.config.ts under server.port.
How do I choose base URL for AMS tests?
Point base URL at the UI you're testing, e.g., AMS2 Vue dev URL, and call API/seed endpoints separately if needed.
How do I choose base URL for Connect tests?
Point base URL at Connect2 Vue or Connect Vue depending on which UI you are testing.
How can one E2E suite cover both AMS and Connect?
Create separate Playwright projects, AMS, Connect, with different base URL/web server settings, and run all with one command.
What's the quickest way to generate a first draft test?
Use npx Playwright CodeGen to record actions, then refactor into a stable at Playwright/testspec with good locators/assertions.
Why shouldn't I keep raw code gen output?
It often uses brittle selectors and weak assertions. Refactor to get by roll/testeds and add meaningful expect checks.
How do I guide an AI agent to create Playwright tests I can run later?
Specify repo path, test dir, base URLs, how to start servers, login method, required assertions, and only write under E2E/.
Agent prompt, add test and run it template?
In /root/stellanpaket/AMS, connect, / add Playwright tests under E2E/. Start servers via config web server. Implement login via storage state. Run npx Playwright test and show failures.
Agent prompt, no risky changes guardrail?
Do not change app code or update snapshots unless I explicitly ask. Prefer stable locators. If blocked, propose minimal data tested additions and wait for approval.
How does Codex CLI help with Playwright?
It can generate/edit test files, run Playwright commands, parse failures, iterate on selectors/assertions, and leave runnable scripts/specs in the repo.
How do I ask Codex CLI to keep changes confined?
Say only write under and don't edit app code unless necessary. Also name exact file paths you want created/modified.
How do I make an agent run tests automatically?
Ask it to 1. Add/modify tests, 2. Run npx playwright test, 3. Fix failures, 4. Rerun until green, and 5. Summarize what changed.
What should an agent report after creating tests?
New files/paths, commands used, how to start servers, how login is handled, storage state path, and what the assertions verify.
How do I install Playwright browsers plus OS steps, Linux CI?
npx playwright install with deps.
How do I install only Chromium?
npx playwright install Chromium.
Where do Playwright browsers get installed?
Usually under a Playwright managed cache. Override with playwright_browsers_path equals 0 to install into node_modules/.cache.
How do I verify Playwright is installed correctly?
npx playwright version npx playwright install dry run.
How do I run the Playwright test UI mode?
npx playwright test UI.
How do I list all discovered tests without running them?
npx playwright test list.
How do I stop after the first failure?
npx playwright test max failures equals 1.
How do I run with a single worker, no parallelism?
npx playwright test workers equals 1.
How do I retry failing tests from CLI?
npx playwright test retries equals 2.
How do I set a global per test timeout from CLI?
npx playwright test timeout equals 60,000.
How do I run only tests matching a tag?
npx playwright test grep \@ smoke \.
How do I exclude tests matching a tag?
npx playwright test grep invert \@ slow \.
How do I run a shard of the suite in CI?
npx playwright test shard equals 1/3 and 2/3, 3/3.
How do I fail CI if someone left test.only?
npx playwright test for bit only.
How do I run with a specific config file?
npx playwright test config equals playwright.config.ts.
How do I run and print verbose steps/actions?
Set debug equals pw API, or pewdbug equals 1 for inspector.
How do I record a quick script without the test runner?
npx playwright code gen http://localhost 8080.
How do I code gen against a mobile device profile?
npx playwright code gen device \iPhone 13 \.
How do I code gen while already logged in?
Use code gen with a persistent context, or load storage state, so it records post-login flows.
What does testdir do in playwright.config.ts?
It tells Playwright where to look for spec files, e.g., e2e/ or tests/e2e/.
What do test match/test ignore control?
They include /exclude test file patterns, e.g., /spec.ts, so only intended specs run.
What's base URL used for in config?
It enables page.goto/login and makes tests portable across environments.
What's the difference between action timeout and navigation timeout?
Action timeout limits individual actions, click/fill, navigation timeout limits navigations, go-to/click causing NAV.
How do I change expect timeout globally?
In config, expect timeout 10,000.
How do I force a consistent locale/time zone for stable tests?
In config use locale DEDE, time zone ID, Europe/Berlin.
How do I emulate geolocation plus permissions?
Use geolocation, latitude, longitude, permissions, geolocation.
How do I set extra HTTP headers for all requests?
Use extra HTTP headers, xtestrun, E2E.
How do I ignore HTTPS errors in local dev?
Use ignore HTTPS errors, true, only for dev/testing.
How do I set a consistent viewport?
Use viewport, width, 1280, height, 720.
How do I run multiple browser projects?
Define projects, name, Chromium, use, browser name, Chromium.
How do I give AMS and connect different base URLs?
Create projects like name AMS, use, base URL http://127.0.0.1:3437, and name, connect, use, base URL http://127.0.0.1:3445.
How do I start dev servers automatically for tests?
Use web server in playwright.config.ts to run commands and wait for a URL to respond.
How do I start multiple services, UI plus API?
Set web server to an array, command, URL, command, URL.
How do I pass environment vars into web server commands?
Use command, base_URL equals, npm run dev or set env in CI before running tests.
How do I run a subset of projects?
npx playwright test project equals AMS, or multiple project flags.
How do I disable video/trace locally for speed?
In config set use.video/use.trace to off, or conditionally based on CI env.
What is a locator versus a CSS selector string?
A locator is a smart handle with auto weight and strictness. Use locators to reduce flakiness.
How do I select by test ID?
Page.getByTestID, save button.
How do I configure the test ID attribute name?
In config, use test ID attribute, data tested, or your custom attribute.
How do I select the first matching element?
Use locator.first, but prefer a more specific selector when possible.
How do I select the nth matching element?
Use locator.nth, 0, locator.nth, 1.
How do I scope a selector to a section/card?
Const card equals page.getByTestID, report card, await card.getByRole, button, name, download, click.
How do I select an element containing other elements?
Use locator.filter, has, page.getByRole, to narrow by descendants.
How do I select by partial text safely?
Prefer getByRole with name. If needed, use getByText, save, exact, true/false.
How do I handle duplicated labels, same text twice?
Scope to a container or use role plus name plus exact, then disambiguate with nth, as last resort.
How do I select inside in a frame?
Use page.frameLocator, a frame, title equals \\, and then getByRole/getByTestID on that frame locator.
How do I wait for navigation after clicking?
Use await promise.all, page.wait for URL, ***/ dashboard, page.getByRole, button, name, login, click.
How do I wait for a specific network response?
Const res equals await page.wait for response, r equals r.url, includes, /API/reports, and r.ok.
How do I ensure an element is visible before clicking?
Await expect, locator, to be visible, await locator. Click.
How do I force a click when an overlay blocks it?
Try to fix the UI state. As last resort, use locator.click, force, true, and document why.
How do I hover to reveal a menu?
Await page.getByRole, button, name, more.hover.
How do I fill a field reliably?
Await page.getBylabel, email.fill, user@example.com.
How do I clear an input before typing?
Await locator.fill, await locator.type, new value.
How do I press enter to submit?
Await page.getBylabel, password.press, enter.
How do I assert a page title?
Await expect page.to-have title /ams/I.
How do I assert an element count?
Await expect page.getByTestID row.to-have count 10.
How do I assert an attribute?
Await expect locator.to-have attribute aria expanded true.
How do I assert an input value?
Await expect page.getBylabel search.to-have value foo.
How do I assert a checkbox is checked?
Await expect page.getByRole checkbox name active.to-be checked.
How do I assert a button is disabled/enabled?
Await expect page.getByRole button name save.to-be disabled.
How do I do soft assertions, collect multiple failures?
Await expect.soft locator.to-have text.
How do I poll until a condition becomes true?
Await expect.poll async equals await locator.text content.to contain ready.
How do I assert a toast/snack bar appears?
Await expect page.getByRole status.to contain text/saved/I.
How do I assert the URL query params?
Await expect page.to-have URL // page equals 2/.
How do I assert a table row contains text?
Const row equals page.getByRole row name/customer 123/ await expect row.to be visible.
How do I debug a failing test locally?
Run with headed debug or pubug equals 1 and inspect locators/steps in the inspector.
How do I capture screenshots on failure automatically?
In config, use screenshot only on failure.
How do I keep videos only when a test fails?
In config, use video retain on failure.
How do I run with traces always on, local?
In config, use trace on.
How do I attach extra debug info to the report?
Use testinfo.attach, name, body, buffer.from, content type, text/plain.
How do I group tests by feature?
Use test.describe, analytics, equals, and keep specs feature scoped.
How do I run setup steps before each test?
Use test.before each, async, page equals.
How do I run teardown after each test?
Use test.after each, async, page equals.
How do I mark a test as slow?
Test.slow, or configure longer timeouts for a describe block.
How do I skip a test in WebKit only?
Test.skip, browser name equals WebKit, not supported in WebKit.
How do I temporarily mark a known bug as expected to fail?
Test.fail, true, known issue.
What is test.use for?
It sets per file/describe options like storage state, viewport, permissions, etc.
How do I create reusable fixtures?
Use test.extend, myFixture, async, use equals, await use, value.
What is the built-in request fixture?
It provides an API request context for HTTP calls, seed/reset/login, without using the UI.
How do I seed data via request fixture?
Await request.post/API/test/seed data. Requires a test-only endpoint.
How do I reset state once per file?
Use test before all/test after all with careful isolation. Avoid shared mutable state across workers.
What's the downside of before all for UI state?
Shared state can make parallel runs flaky. Prefer per-test isolation or API seeding.
How do I add per-step reporting?
Await test.step, create report, async equals.
What is test info useful for?
Access metadata like project name, retry count, output dir, and attach artifacts.
How do I take a manual screenshot into the report?
Await page.screenshot a path, testinfo.output path, debug.png.
How do I enforce consistent test data IDs?
Prefix with a run ID, timestamp/UUID, and stored in testinfo or an environment var.
How do I avoid flaky loading spinners?
Wait for the spinner to disappear. Await expect, page.getByTestID, spinner.toBeHidden.
How do I authenticate once and reuse it?
Create storage state.json in global setup and set test.use storage state for all tests.
What should go into global setup for auth?
A scripted login that saves storage state. Keep it fast and avoid UI details when possible.
How do I log in via API instead of UI?
Call a test login endpoint, set returned cookies/local storage, then save storage state.
How do I keep credentials out of the repo?
Read username password from environment vars and avoid committing storage state created from real accounts.
How do I create separate sessions for different roles?
Generate storage state.admin JSON and storage state.user.json, then apply via test.use per describe/project.
How do I prevent auth state bleeding between tests?
Use separate browser contexts per test, default, and avoid reusing a context unless intentional.
What's a good post-login assertion?
Assert URL plus a unique logged-in UI element, e.g., user menu visible, to avoid false positives.
How do I handle remember me and cookies?
Prefer storage state. Don't depend on long-lived cookies that may expire unpredictably.
How do I test logout?
Click logout and assert you're redirected to /login and auth-only UI is gone.
How do I deal with SSO redirect loops in tests?
Use storage state created manually once, or a test-only auth bypass in non-prod environments.
How do I intercept and stub an API call?
Page.route, **/API/***, route equals route.fulfill, status, 200, JSON.
How do I block third-party scripts to reduce flakiness?
Page.route, ***, route equals route.request.url, .includes, Google. Route.abort, route.continue.
How do I wait for a request to be sent?
Await page.wait for request, r equals or .url, .includes, /API/login.
How do I assert an HTTP response body?
Use request fixture, const res equals await request.get, /API/me, expect, await res.json, to match object.
How do I record a HAR file for debugging?
In context options, record har, path, network.har, or use tracing/network logs.
How do I replay network via HR?
Use route from HAR to fulfill requests from a recorded HAR for deterministic tests.
How do I wait for the app to become idle?
Prefer explicit signals, UI text, spin or hidden, or a specific API response, not generic network idle.
How do I handle flaky, element-detached errors?
Use locators, not element handles, avoid storing DOM nodes, and relocate before acting.
How do I test file downloads?
Const download equals await page.wait for event, download, await download.save as, tmp/file.csv.
How do I assert a download file name?
Await expect, download.suggested file name, to match, / $.csv$.
How do I upload a file in a form?
Await page.set input files, input, type equals file, fixtures/test.pdf.
How do I handle a file chooser opened by a button?
Const chooser equals await page.wait for event, file chooser, await chooser.set files, fixtures/a.png.
How do I handle JavaScript confirm/alert dialogues?
Page.once, dialog, d equals d.accept, then trigger the action.
How do I test a pop-up/new tab flow?
Const popup equals await page.wait for event, popup, then interact with popup.
How do I handle multiple pages in one context?
Use context.wait for event, page, and keep references to each page object.
How do I test copy to clipboard?
Grant permissions if needed and assert expected text via page.evaluate equals navigator.clipboard.read text.
How do I grant permissions like clipboard/geolocation?
Set permissions in context/use config permissions, clipboard read, clipboard write.
How do I emulate prefers reduced motion?
Use reduced motion, reduce, to reduce animation flakiness.
How do I disable animations via CSS?
Await page.add style tag, content, asterisk, transition none important, animation none important.
How do I test drag and drop?
Use locator.dragTo, target locator, or dispatch drag events if the app requires it.
How do I scroll an element into view?
Await locator.scroll into view if needed.
How do I work with virtualized lists?
Scroll until the row exists, then assert on visible items. Avoid assuming all rows are in DOM.
How do I set a consistent color scheme?
Use color scheme, light or dark, to stabilize screenshots.
How do I mask dynamic areas in screenshots?
Expect page.to have screenshot, mask, page.get by test ID, clock.
How do I avoid flaky visual diffs from fonts?
Use consistent browser/device/viewport and load fonts deterministically, or disable font smoothing variations if needed.
How do I create a minimal smoke suite?
Tag key tests with @smoke and run grep @smoke as the fast gate.
How do I run the full suite but keep it stable?
Isolate data per test, avoid shared accounts, and use retries plus traces only as a safety net.
How do I generate JUnit output for CI?
Set reporter to include JUnit in config, e.g., reporter, JUnit, output file, results.xml.
How do I keep HTML reports as artifacts?
Upload Playwright report / and test results / from CI for debugging.
How do I make CI runs deterministic?
Pin Playwright version, install browsers in CI, set fixed viewport /locale/time zone, and avoid external dependencies.
How do I speed up CI?
Run fewer projects, Chromium only, shard tests, and keep heavy flows behind tags, e.g., @slow.
How do I debug CI only failures?
Inspect trace.zip plus screenshots from artifacts, reproduce locally with the same environment vars and workers =1.
How do I run Playwright in Docker?
Use the official Playwright container image or install system deps via npx playwright install with deps.
How do I make sure local servers are ready before tests?
Use webserver.url waiting and consider a health endpoint instead of sleep loops.
Where are AMS apps located?
/root /stellenpaket /AMS /view3 AMS2 view /view2 AMS view /backend AMS Laravel
Where are Connect apps located?
/root /stellenpaket /connect /view3 connect2 view /view2 connect view /backend connect Laravel
How do I start Connect dev servers together?
Run /root /stellenpaket /connect /start_dev_servers.sh starts UI plus API with ports configured in the script.
What ports does the Connect dev script use?
Connect View 3445, Connect Laravel 7677 per start_dev_servers.sh.
Where do AMS/Connect View 3 ports come from?
Check vite.config.ts under server.port and or the CLI port used in scripts.
What's a common pitfall with running two Vite apps?
Both may default to the same port, e.g., 8080. Run one with npm run dev port 3437 to avoid conflicts.
How do I set Playwright base URL when ports vary?
Pass base_URL via env and read it in config, so you can switch ports without editing tests.
How do I test AMS plus backend together?
Start AMS Laravel API and AMS2 View UI, then set base URL to the UI and seed/reset via API endpoints.
How do I test Connect plus backend together?
Start Connect Laravel plus the UI, Connect to View or Connect View, then set base URL to the chosen UI.
Where should Playwright tests live for AMS/Connect?
Pick a dedicated folder like /root /stellenpaket/AMS/E2E/ or perap AMS2 view /E2E/ and document it in the config.
How do I keep tests from depending on existing prod-like data?
Create test-only seed/reset tools, API endpoints or scripts, and use them from the request fixture.
What's a safe way to add selectors to the app?
Add stable data tested on key controls/containers only, and keep it consistent across refactors.
How do I tell an agent what done looks like for an E2E test?
Define the assertions, URL change, key text visible, API response OK, and a DB/data effect if applicable.
How do I instruct an agent to avoid flaky selectors?
Require get_by_role/get_by_label first. Allow data tested only if roles/labels are insufficient.
How do I instruct an agent to create login reuse?
Ask for a global setup that writes e2e/auth/storagestate.json and to use it via test.use.
How do I instruct an agent to avoid secrets?
Require placeholders for credentials and env-var injection, e.g., username password, with no hard-coded values.
How do I instruct an agent to run tests and iterate?
Create tests, run npx playwright test, fix failures, rerun until green, then summarize changes plus commands.
How do I instruct an agent to keep changes scoped?
Only write /e2e/ and do not modify app code unless I explicitly approve.
How do I instruct an agent to propose data-tested changes?
List the minimum elements needing data tested and why. Wait for approval before editing app code.
How do I instruct an agent to handle visual snapshots safely?
Do not run update snapshots unless I explicitly request it. Include diffs plus rationale.
How do I instruct an agent to add a smoke tag?
Tag the test name with @smoke and ensure it runs with grep @smoke.
How do I instruct an agent to add trace on failure?
Set use.trace equals on first retry and include the trace location in the summary.
How do I instruct an agent to write maintainable helpers?
Extract repeated flows into helpers, login, create entity, but keep assertions in the test.
How do I instruct an agent to minimize runtime?
Prefer API seeding and storage state, avoid multi-minute UI setup in every test.
How does Codex CLI help when a test fails?
It can read the error, inspect selectors, adjust weights/assertions, and rerun until the test is stable.
How do I give Codex CLI a reproducible test target?
Provide the exact start commands plus base URL plus required environment vars so it can run locally the same way every time.
Anki import. How do I force Anki to treat content as HTML?
Add hashtag HTML, true at the top, then renders line breaks and works.
Anki import. How do I keep one card per line?
Avoid new line characters inside fields, use instead for multi-line back content.
Anki import. How do I avoid broken TSV parsing?
Do not include literal tab characters inside fields, keep exactly 2 tabs per card line.
Anki import. How do I add global tags to every note?
Add hashtag tags, Playwright Codexcli E2E header, space separated tag list.
Anki import. How do I change the deck target?
Set hashtag deck, your deck, subdeck in the file headers before importing.
How do I set headless/headed behavior in config?
In playwright.config.ts set use, headless, true/false, override locally with headed when you need to watch the run.
What's the difference between headless and headed?
Headless runs without a visible browser window. Headed shows the browser UI for debugging.
What does test.describe.configure, mode, serial, do?
It forces tests in that describe block to run one after another, useful when they share state.
How do I declare a describe block as parallel?
Use test.describe.parallel feature equals to allow tests in that block to run concurrently.
How do I pause a test mid-run?
Add a wait page.pause and run with debug so Playwright opens the inspector.
How do I inspect selectors interactively?
Run npx playwright test debug and use the inspector's picker to find robust locators, role/label/tested.
How do I print browser console logs in a test?
Page.on, console, message equals console.log, message type, message text.
How do I fail tests on uncaught page errors?
Page.on, page error, error equals, throw error, or record and assert after actions.
How do I capture failed network requests?
Page.on, request failed, req equals console.log, failed, req URL, req failure.error text.
How do I disable service workers for stability?
In config, use service workers, block.
How do I set HTTP basic auth credentials?
In config, use HTTP credentials, username, process.env.basic_user, password, process.env.basic_pass.
How do I set a session cookie without UI login?
Await context.add cookies, name, session, value, domain, 127.0.0.1, path, /, then go to base URL.
How do I set local storage before the uploads?
Use context.add init script equals local storage.set item, key, value, before page.goto.
How do I freeze time in the browser for deterministic tests?
Use add init script to override date/antl, or a test-only fixed clock feature flag if the app supports it.
How do I test a keyboard shortcut?
Await page.keyboard.press, Ctrl+K, use Meta+K on macOS if applicable.
How do I set a checkbox reliably?
Await page.get by role, checkbox, name, active, set checked, true.
How do I select an option in a native?
Await page.get by label, role, select option, label, admin.
How do I test a custom dropdown, not a?
Click to open it, then choose an option by role, listbox/option, or by stable data tested.
How do I wait for DOM content loaded explicitly?
Await page.wait for load state, DOM content loaded, usually unnecessary, use expect, on UI instead.
When is wait for load state, network idle, useful?
Rarely, prefer explicit signals, spin or gone, API response, because network idle can be unstable with polling apps.
How do I assert partial text, not exact?
Await expect, locator, to contain text, /saved/.
How do I assert an element has a CSS class?
Await expect, locator, to have class, HTV.
How do I assert an element is focused?
Await expect, page.get by label, search, to be focused.
How do I run only one spec file?
npx playwright test e2e/auth.spec.ts.
How do I rerun only the last failed tests?
npx playwright test last failed.
How do I keep terminal output concise?
Use a simpler reporter like reporter equals line, or configure reporter in playwright.config.ts.
How do I configure retries for a describe block?
Add test.describe.configure, retries, inside the spec file.
How do I increase timeout for one test?
Inside the test.setTimeout, 120,000.
How do I set a longer timeout for a describe block?
Add test.describe.configure, timeout, 120,000, for slower flows.
How do I change where artifacts are written?
Set output dir in playwright.config.ts, e.g., test results.
How do I attach JSON debug data to the report?
Testinfo.attach, API response.json, body, buffer.from, json.stringify, obj nolly 2, content type, application/json.
How do I check basic navigation timing metrics?
Read performance.get entries by type, navigation, via page.evaluate and assert rough budgets if needed.
How do I take an accessibility snapshot?
Const tree equals await page.accessibility.snapshot, assert on roles/names to catch A11Y regressions.
How do I click an element that's off screen?
Await locator.scroll into view if needed, then click.
AMS, how do I start the Laravel backend on a custom port?
cd/root/stellanpaket/ams/ams Laravel and PHP Artisan serve port 8001.
AMS, how do I start the Vue 3 UI on a custom port?
cd/root/stellanpaket/ams/ams2 Vue and npm run dev port 3437.
Connect, how do I start the Vue 3 UI on a custom port?
cd/root/stellanpaket/connect/connect2 Vue and npm run dev port 3446.
Connect, how do I start the Laravel backend on a custom port?
cd/root/stellanpaket/connect/connect Laravel and PHP Artisan serve port 7677.